Hello everyone, this is Heisenflay, and today I'm going to be talking about Armored Core 6 and some of the issues I've been seeing when it comes to the community. Personally, I just want to say for the record, I am not an Armored Core veteran. I joined when I saw, the initial cutscene, well, not cutscene, but the initial reveal trailer at TGA. I was immediately enthralled. This was a point in time when Mobile Suit Gundam was just starting not to cut it for me as much, and Witch from Mercury was definitely not helping. I have no problem with Witch from Mercury for what it is. I have a problem with the very suspicious kind of Advance of Zeta E-ness of the designs. So I kind of felt like, Bandai was trying to erase Advance of Zeta, I guess, by, using a story that was actually animated and, taking designs. And that belief is very radical, and I've kind of dropped it as of right now. But at the time, this belief was a lot more drastic. I believed that this was an entire op to get rid of Advance of Zeta and destroy it so that Bandai didn't have to make any more Advance of Zeta model kits. I thought I had a whole conspiracy going on in my head. So at that point, I needed something to fill the void that Mobile Suit Gundam had left. Well, I never left the community. I will always love Gundam, but at the ads, sorry. If you couldn't tell, I'm using this footage straight off of YouTube. I know I am very unprofessional, but this is the best I can do as of right now. My apologies. So, Armored Core just blew my mind. I had only heard about it once until now, and before then, my opinion was actually the opposite. Like when I had first heard Armored Core, it was from this video. From this one guy. I forget his name, but it was titled "What the Hell Happened to Armored Core?" And at the time, my obsession for Gundam was at its peak, so I got fairly aggressive when hearing about any other series, and I was like, what is this? Why are you showing me this and not Gundam? I'll tell you what happened to Armored Core. It wasn't Gundam, so it failed because it wasn't Gundam. I didn't even watch the video. I was just so offended at the idea that something that wasn't Gundam was being shown to me on YouTube. I was a very weird child. I'll just leave it at that. But now I'm more mature of a person. I'd like to believe I'm more mature of a person, and I really like Armored Core. I like what it is. I love the customization. I love the world of it, and Armored Core 6 has me very excited. I've already pre-ordered the game. I have a countdown timer constantly open on my computer. It's gotten to the point where I'll just play videos of Journey in Space ASMR or whatever, just the sounds of space from inside of a spaceship, and pretend that I'm a crewmate headed to Rubicon on a spaceship. I know, I'm a very cringy person, but I've accepted that long ago. So, I'm here to talk about some of the controversies within Armored Core 6. And I'm very excited for this game, so I'd hate it if any of these controversies were correct. Basically, a lot of these controversies are sort of assumptions based off of the little we've gotten so far, and I'd hate for these assumptions to be correct. So, the first assumption that I've been hearing around is that Armored Core 6 is getting way too Souls-like. This, comes with... This is, being said by a lot of people who grew up with Armored Core, i.e., not me, and not a lot of people. Armored Core 6 apparently has some new features that aren't in the old Armored Core games. The only Armored Core game I've ever played is Armored Core 1 and Armored Core 3 on emulator. So, you know, I have like a slight idea of why I know that these features aren't in the originals, but these features include a healing feature, which from my experience I know isn't in Armored Core 1 or Armored Core 3. It's probably not in 2 either, and most likely not in 4 or 5. Then there is the hard lock-on and the lack of turning speed. As well as that, I think there is something about being able to queue up the garage mid-mission. So here's the thing with the hard lock-on, because that's what I hear about the most. Even after the community, for the most part, has seemed to calm down about these issues, what I seem to hear the most about is the hard lock-on, even to this day. Here's my opinion on it. I don't think it's very Souls-like. As most people say, Souls do not invent hard lock-on. From what I have heard from people like Vati and Ratatosker, the lock-on is not very Souls-like. There is still a soft lock-on, but it is just that there is a hard lock-on alongside it. And the hard lock-on itself, from what I've seen and heard, functions a lot more like, I don't know, Gundam Versus rather than Souls. You can still miss, and you can still, just whiff incredibly important attacks. So it's not going to be the Souls lock-on. It's going to be a bit more similar to other mecha games. So while it's not Armored Core, it is still, it's still mecha-y. It's still very sci-fi. Then there's of course the lack of turning speed, and where most people see a lack of turning speed, I see normal mode. Now, for those who don't know, normal mode is the non-combat mode of your AC. In the older games, and I'm pretty sure 4 and 5 as well, when you start a mission, a computer voice will say that the system has switched to to combat mode, and when the mission has ended, that same computer voice will say that your AC has switched to normal mode. And I'm guessing in this normal mode, your weapons are inactive, and you can't boost. Now, this seems to be the case in Armored Core 6. In this normal mode, the AC is usually another ad. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Now, in this normal mode, your AC seems to be walking. Well, in Armored Core 6. In Armored Core 6, in the AC is seen, just walking, not really running or boosting, with its arms down at its side and not really doing anything aggressive. Now, this probably isn't going to be like Armored Core 5, where there's a dedicated button for switching in between the modes, but more like the moment you boost or activate one of your weapons, fire it, you will automatically go into this combat mode and the lock on will be visible, or something like that. I don't know how the game will work, but this is what I'm assuming is gonna happen. Um, so, you know, turning speed will obviously still be a feature because there are because um, there obviously seems to be, in the playable trailers, the the ACs still take a bit to turn. They don't just turn on a dime, whether or not, regardless of if you're in combat mode or not. It seems to be like when you're in a passive state, you will be able to turn a lot quicker. It's probably for the sake of exploration and whatnot, getting to places quicker. So it might not be the biggest deal in the world. Who knows? Turning speed might not be a thing. I am not opposed to that decision. Personally, I have lost a lot of missions to turning speed. I'm happy to see it go if it's gone, if I'm honest. It's not what makes Armored Core, in my opinion. And I know I'm not a veteran, therefore I probably shouldn't be saying stuff like that. But that's just how I feel. I don't like slow turning. Like, realistic does not mean low tech. A mech that can turn on a dime can still be just as realistic as a mech that can't turn on a dime, because most likely a mech can use its thrusters or other methods of movement to speed up its turning. You know, being slow and junky doesn't make a mech more realistic. So there goes the realism argument. Now on to the next issue that people consider to be Souls-like is, what's it called? Yes, the healing feature. People like to call it an Estus flask. Personally, I feel like as long as it's thematically accurate, it will be fine. And as long as it's not, something that you won't be penalized for, it'll be fine. I feel like there should be a cost to using it since it is a resource. And I feel like FromSoft will include some kind of cost for using this healing feature, since, once again, it is a resource that is at your disposal. There will most likely be costs to replace these healing units. I'm guessing they're like nanobots or something. Like, for me, as long as it's thematically accurate, I'll be fine. Like, as long as it's not just a straight up flask that your AC takes out of nowhere and drinks as if it had a mouth, I'll be fine with it. Then I'm pretty sure there's something else. Well, I'm really bad at remembering things. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Now on to the next issue that that isn't Souls, that isn't concerned Souls, and probably the only issue that isn't concerned Souls when it comes to Armored Core 6 controversy, and that is the marketing. This is a much more recent issue as it is closer to release, and we're getting much closer to August 25th. As of right now, we are almost 40 exact days from release, and we have not had much. Now, I'm not the most patient person when it comes to things like this. I'm very excited for Armored Core 6 and I want to see more. But at the same time, I understand why there isn't. I understand the multiple reasons people have brought up as to why marketing might be a bit slow. Other games coming out, the hard task that is keeping hype for a long time, and of course it being niche, and therefore you might not want to pour that much money into marketing, and the possibility that there might just not be enough money for marketing because they've already poured a lot of funds into other aspects. Personally, all of these reasons could make sense, and the last reason I'd actually be happy with. I'm perfectly fine with a game focusing on being a game and not being a success. All too recently, we've had games that, for one reason or another, do not focus on being games, being fun, you know? And I'd be fine if a game wanted to focus on being fun for once, instead of focus on being a commercial success. Your game does not have to be a smash hit to do well. Just make a fun, good game and make sure that at least some community knows about it. Now, I do want to see more for Armored Core 6, but honestly, I'd be fine if they just I'd be absolutely fine if they showed us nothing until release, because they want to focus on making the game, a playable, functional game, you know? And it's sad that I have to say that that's something that is hard for companies and game developers to do nowadays, but hey, that's just the truth. Now, now my problem my problem and a lot of other people's problem comes from the reuse of the same footage over and over again, and the weird choices and the weird choices that were made when it came to the marketing that we have so far. You know, the weird use of people who know nothing about AC, or people, you know, or just the use of the same 4-minute, trailer. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I'm using this Armored Core 5 footage instead of, footage from AC6, because I know you all are probably super duper tired of seeing that same 4 minutes of footage. You guys would probably be pissed having to see it again. So I'm using some different footage that people probably don't really see often. So, that's one of my issues. Like, if you can't market the game like that and you can't just give us new stuff every week, then don't. Just give us small amounts of things, but for the love of God, just at least in the few times you're going to give us things, give us a new thing. Don't just reuse the same things over and over and over again. If you are only willing to release 2 more things before release that are like marketing related, like a new trailer or like a demo, make sure it's something new. Don't just reuse the same thing over and over again, because then people are just going to be upset. New fans are just going to skedaddle, and old fans are going to be upset. And I don't want this to be a failure with new and old fans alike, I want this to be a success for at least one demographic. Now, on to another issue. Now, this issue, once again, has to do with Souls, and, of course, a lot of people are starting to sense a pattern when it comes to the, when it comes to the controversies. A lot of them have to do with Souls. Now, this is the whole Mecha Souls thing. People calling it Mecha Souls, people thinking that this game is going to be Mecha Souls. It will not. If you are saying that this game will be Mecha Souls, or think this game will be Mecha Souls, wake up. Get your head out of the sand. Stop being so sheltered. This game will not be Mecha Souls. It is Armored Core. It came out before Souls. It has its own identity. Let it be a separate game. If you want Mecha Souls, play GBO2. With that hot take out of the way, with that hot take out of the way, YouTubers who call Armored Core 6 Mecha Souls just annoy me to the nth degree. Like, I try not to get annoyed on this channel and get aggressive, but dear Lord, stop. Like, a lot of people are just doing it now to piss us off. It's not even remotely cool. It's sad that it's gotten to the point where people need to piss off others for the sake of engagement. Like, I wish YouTube cracked down on this stuff more. I wish other people cracked down on this stuff more. I wish that people consider this one of the only acceptable uses of mass reporting and whatnot. Because if you're just using negativity for your own personal gain, you should not have a platform. Because clearly you're not willing to do good things with it. So, recently, I've seen this example in an Armored Core creator named First Raven. He posted a video with Mecha Souls in the thumbnail, and openly, shamelessly admitted that in the pinned comment that he just did it to piss off Armored Core fans, to piss off veterans. And I'm seeing this a bit too much. People getting on this anti-Armored Core veteran hype train. A lot of new fans are being like, haha, you're stupid for essentially being upset that the game you've loved for years is taking elements from the game that has overshadowed it and basically caused it to not have another installment for, that same amount of time. Um, you know, and I feel like this is just really childish and petty behavior. Like, I understand not liking the fact that, all of these, veterans are seemingly very close-minded and not willing to accept the change, but you have to think from their perspective. This is the game that they have loved for years. The game that has probably saved them from very tough times and very dark thoughts. It's very important to them, and they don't want to lose it just so that FromSoft can get more clout. I trust FromSoft's judgment. They know how to make a successful and fun game, and they seem very smart. They don't seem like the type to cater to a certain audience to make something more popular. If they're going to make an Armored Core game, they're going to make an Armored Core game, and the Armored Core game they want to make. So I trust that they'll do the right thing, But there are other people whose faith seems to be wavering. There are people who have canceled their pre-orders. Josh, or Above Average Gaming, are one of those people whose faith seems to be wavering, and that's sad. Above Average Gaming's videos actually helped me with a lot of Armored Core related things, a lot of the choices of the games that I wanted to play on emulator. So, seeing him no longer be excited for Armored Core 6 is really sad to me, because, he was a really big help for me and a lot of other new fans. So I want to see him and other Armored Core veterans alike be excited for Armored Core 6 once more. And this new hype train of giving the middle finger to AC veterans does not help. It makes things worse. You're not helping anything. This is tied to internet culture in general. The lack of empathy and the need to be better than people. The wanting to be right, even if, being right means that you're right about something horrible. If I said the world was going to end and, I was right about that, if I, were wrapped in this need to constantly be right, I'd be happy that the world was ending. And, that's obviously not very cool. It's people need to stop being so rude about things. They need to stop being so childish. And that includes these AC newbies who feel the need to taunt AC veterans. You're just creating more hate. You are creating more animosity. You are making Armored Core's community a very toxic and unsafe place, especially for newer fans and even younger fans. People like my cousin, they might want to get into Armored Core, but see this community full of people who hate each other, and they might no longer want to be involved, and their parents might not want them to be involved in something like this. It's sad. It really is. And, we need to stop being so hateful towards each other. We need to understand each other more. And, I understand both sides. Because I am a part of both sides. I want Armored Core to keep its identity, but at the same time, I want people to be accepting of change. I want people to be more progressive, to accept new things if they are good, to do research and to look at things through a less defensive and more analytical lens. Are these changes really bad for Armored Core, and are they really destroying its identity? A lack of turn speed does not destroy Armored Core's identity. Either there's a healing mechanic or a hard lock-on. FCS is still there, and turning still takes a bit of time. As well as that, there will probably still be ways that you can die, and enemies will probably still be extremely hard. So, Armored Core is by no means losing its identity. Like, FromSoft knows how to make a game. They know what they're doing. They've been successful for over 10 years. I don't expect them to just miraculously poop out the worst game ever and for that game to magically just be Armored Core 6. I don't think that's what's going to happen. Like, sure, there's a chance that it might not be up to everyone's standards, but it's not going to be a poopy game. It's not going to be shovelware, you know? Now, on to the next issue, an issue that I feel is, once again, a bit more of an opinion. Dang it. Of an opinion that might be harbored by older Armored Core fans, and that is the influx of new fans from the Souls community. Now, here's my opinion. If you respect Armored Core and respect the fact that it's not Souls and get involved in the world, don't try to make it not about mechs and whatnot, you're fine. I have no problem with you being here. But if you're going to try and Soulsify Armored Core in any way possible, or try and make Armored Core seem like it's lesser than trying to make Armored Core seem like it's lesser than Souls for any kind of reason, then get out of the community. If you like Souls, play Souls. Don't play Armored Core. Well, if you want Armored Core to be Souls, play Souls, not Armored Core. That's what I meant to say. If you like Souls, feel free to play Armored Core. In fact, I actively suggest you should. There are a lot of storytelling elements and gameplay elements that Armored Core and Dark Souls, as well as Elden Ring, shares, such as the theme being the cycle of creation and destruction. I'm pretty sure in Souls there is also something about the illusion of freedom, something that is prevalent within Armored Core. Just in general, Armored Core and Souls share a lot. The Moonlight Blade and the Moonlight Blade, of course, being something obvious. Armored Core has a mission called Defeat the gang known as Dark Soul, which, Dark Souls probably came from. So, in fact, one of my personal headcanons is that Armored Core and Dark Souls actually take place in the same universe, or take place at or might take place following one another. Once again, peering into that loop of creation and destruction. Armored Core happens, the cycle of creation and destruction within that universe ends, and then Dark Souls starts after the universe of Armored Core collapses. And then the same thing happens in Dark Souls. We reach Elden Ring. Elden Ring's universe collapses, and then Armored Core starts again. Once again, Armored Core and Dark Souls have a lot in common. And in general, I'd implore a lot of Souls fans to come over to Armored Core, just as I would implore a lot of Armored Core fans to go check out Dark Souls. They're both really good games that have their own merits, even if they're both, different genres. They're both very good games. They're both very well-made games. Armored Core might be more niche and a bit dated, but they're still both very good games that I heavily recommend to anyone. Once again, my problem is when you try to downplay Armored Core or make Armored Core seem like it's worse than Souls. Sorry, I had to burp. Or just in general talk negatively about Armored Core and then talk positively about Souls. That's my problem. That's when I start to be upset. I've never actually taken these issues to, the Reddit server or the Discord server or anything. I'm on there, but I don't make many posts. So, in general, Armored Core 6 has a lot going for it, but at the same time, if these issues aren't fixed, it could really hurt the game. The Souls-like things need the Mecha Souls thing needs to die for this game to succeed. For this game to succeed, well, not to succeed, but to do better than I see it doing, which I see it doing very well amongst Armored Core fans and amongst newer fans, amongst Souls fans, and amongst people who are just uninitiated in general. But if we want it to do better, we need to kill off the Mecha Souls thing. Just kill it. We need to get rid of it. It has no place in our community. It has no place in any community. Mecha Souls in general sounds like an insult. It is not a compliment no matter how you spin it. It sounds like an insult because you're calling it Mecha Souls. No, because you are calling it Mecha Souls, as in it is a mecha ripoff or reskin of Souls. Not Armored Knights or whatever. Because you're not saying Armored Souls. Armored Souls sounds a bit less insulty. It sounds more like a crossover. But, Mecha Souls, which is the popular term, is just, it's an insult. It is an insult, and most people just do not like to hear it. Do not try to say, but it's a compliment. It's not a compliment. We don't like hearing it. You don't try to spin a racial slur in a positive light and then try to convince that the ethnic group that slur was made for, that it's all of a sudden a compliment. It is the word that has been used against them and to demean them for generations. And now, this may seem like a very big and not very apt comparison, but it has like the base idea here. Like, if someone does not want you to call them a certain name or nickname that they do not agree with, do not call them that. Do not insist on calling them that. Why do you need to? Why do you feel the need to call Armored Core Mecha Souls besides to piss off older fans or just fans in general who don't like the term Mecha Souls? Like, you do not need to call Armored Core 6 Mecha Souls. You don't need to call Armored Core in general Mecha Souls, because it is not Mecha Souls. You just don't. You don't need to. You want to, because for some reason pissing off old fans gets you off. And quite frankly, if that's the case, then we don't want you here. Then of course, the Souls-like elements, it's just kind of, to me, it's a bit ridiculous. Like, these elements were not invented by Souls. They are just elements that are used in multiple different games. Then, of course, the marketing, which is an issue that I believe will be fixed, when we get to, like, late July or, early to mid-August. Actually, the 25th could be considered mid-August. But when we get to, late July, early August, we'll definitely be seeing more. I don't think they're just going to release nothing until August 25th. That'd be like the dumbest move they could have possibly made. Even if they don't want to or are afraid to, I don't think that'd be very profitable for them. They'd just be putting a bunch of money into a game that they knew was going to fail. They need to make some kind of wave somehow. Like, they don't need to hit the top charts. They don't need to be the most best-selling game of all time. I feel like they know that they have to make something, and they're going to. They're not that stupid. The influx of new fans from Souls is great. I just want them to respect the series. Of course, all of this is, my opinion. I mean, I came up with this opinion from stuff I've seen, but once again, this is all my opinion. If I got something wrong, or if I'm just objectively incorrect on something, please correct me. I want to be corrected on things I'm wrong about. Until then, make sure to check out the Discord. Oh yeah, and I have a Twitter and a subreddit now. Make sure to check those out, because if you are an Armored Core fan, there will be Armored Core related things on there, because Side Zero does take elements from Armored Core as well. So because these new social media accounts are like Side Zero related, so you will see stuff about Armored Core. Maybe not immediately, but there will definitely be Armored Core related things. I have OCs that are into Armored Core, so you will see their builds. Maybe not immediately, but you'll definitely see their builds at some point, because I love making builds for my characters. It's very fun. I love making characters in general. So sorry about the bad frame rate on this video. OBS has always been a little bit laggy for me, and I had to sacrifice quite a bit of video quality to get it to this frame rate, which is slightly acceptable. Sorry. I'm having a bit of trouble formulating words right now. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. Check out my my new social media. My hiatus is obviously over now, as you can see if you saw that community post. I hope you all have a great day. And I hope I didn't say anything that pisses anyone off or is factually incorrect. See ya. Have a nice day, ladies and gentlemen. See you in the next upload.